I will sing of mercy and judgment unto thee, O Lord. Will I sing? I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. Oh, when wilt thou come unto me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. A forward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that hath an high look and a proud heart will I not suffer. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell within me. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in my sight. I will early destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all wicked doors from the city of the Lord. Greetings, brethren. Welcome to another afternoon lesson in the house of Israel. Welcome those who are in Cyberland, whether it's morning, afternoon, or night. It's always a pleasure to have you all viewing. Today I should say, question, why lies so popular? Why is lie so popular? Just think about it for a minute. Today I want to talk about something that we all see around us. In our lives, in our society, and even in our hearts. We're living in a world where truth seems to be the casualty, where falsehood spreads faster than facts, and where the lie seems to have irresistible allure. So the question we're facing today is, why is the lie so popular? And that is our subject. That's our lesson for today, I should say. The lies, biblical root. So, where did it all started? Not with man, at least. Man didn't initiate, so to speak, but man partake, but not with man. To understand the popularity of the lie, we must go back to the origin. We must, like everything else in life, in order for you to understand the cause and the effect, you must go to the root cause, where it started, where it all begins. The first lie was not told by human, it was spoken in the Garden of Eden. Yeah. And it was spoken by the father of all lies. And there's only one father of all lies. And we all know who that is. As my elder Michael would say, Lucy. So that's Satan. He started that. He is the reason behind the lies. So, in Genesis 3:1-5, and I'll read. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto woman, or he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall he touch it, lest he die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Wow. Wow. That's the original con man. That's the original deceptor. And he was good at it. He beguiled Eve because he was like our elder Suarez, or elder, you know who Suarez is, right? Yeah, you see that fine young man, muscular, you know, appealing to most women. Well, the devil was like that. So he beguiled poor Eve. And Eve fell victim. She was weak also because she wasn't the one that our God had created from nothing. She was created from something. Henceforth, that strength wasn't in her like it was in Adam. So she was easily deceived. And he put on that deception, and of course, she fell victim and did what she shouldn't have done, as it was told by our father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. But when a lie is being told and you're vulnerable because of whatever the circumstances or the condition might be, you might fall into that trap. You will fall into that trap. And some of our brethren have fallen into that trap also because of weakness. There's lots of scriptures that our forefathers also fell in the trap of weakness because of lies. He said, Ye shall not surely die. That's what he said. Ye shall surely not die.
Elder Andrew.
And this was a direct contradiction to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob command. For sure it was.
Elder Andrew.
Yes, sir.
What I noticed in this lesson that you're saying is that nobody took the blame. They always pointed to each other. The serpent pointed to Eve, and Eve pointed to who? Her husband. So no one takes the blame. Nobody ever wants to take the blame for when they do something wrong. And that's one of the reasons also why the lie continues.
Well said, my brother. Well done. Well done, Elder Lewis. And that is so true. Because I don't know. In life, what we have here is simplest. If you tell one lie, it's like a snowball. Another lie comes, then another lie, then another lie, then another lie, because you have to keep up that facade, which is what lies are. Lies are a facade. You're trying to be something that you're not, or you're trying to create something that wasn't ever there. So that's what it does. One lie leads to the next, leads to the next. Before you know it, you're a professional liar. You don't know the truth. The truth does not exist no more. And even for a minute, if you see the truth, you can't recognize it because lying is the way for you. All right? And so once the seed was sown by Satan, the devil, it was game over. Done. Finished. So, as I said, this was a direct contradiction to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob command. The lie's popularity began here because it, as I said, it offered a false promise, something better of knowledge, power, and freedom from God's authority. Because one thing you should also know is the simple this. The lies was created to cause doubt about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That was the purpose of it. It wasn't just a lie being said. No, it was to create doubt. Because Lucifer never did just want to just exist. He wanted more than just existent. He wanted control. He wanted to be who he can't never be, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that was the root cause and purpose for all of this. The Bible tells us that lying is a sin. And for us, and I'm just going back to my nurturing days on the island, and some of you probably can relate to. Remember when this was famous while growing up? A lying lip is an abomination unto the Lord. I mean, I didn't even know the Bible, but that was almost like a second nature. They'll always say, a lying lips is abomination unto the Lord. A lying lips is abomination unto the Lord. If I didn't know anything else, I can't remember anything else from the Bible. I remember that much. Because as I said, I did not chase philosophy, henceforth I didn't study the Bible, but that was almost like something that was imprinted as kids growing up. A lying lip is abomination unto the Lord. So what they were trying to tell us is that always speak the truth. And as they say, the truth will set you free. And also, as one of the 7 things that the Lord hates, that's a lying lips. Okay? It's a direct violation of the 9th commandment. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Exodus 20:16. We see in the scripture that lying is a total use to deceive, to gain an advantage, and to hide from God's, our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's truth. So that's what lies is. So you could say lies is an anti God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's anti the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob truth. And the lie can be classified as a reflection of fallen world's rebellion against the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Mark Twain once said, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on his shoe. No, you think about that. And in no time that we're living, it can travel around the world in seconds before you can even repeat your names. Because with social media and all of these electronics out there that we have, it doesn't take long for a lie, a rumor, or anything to go viral. I want to step back because I should have said this earlier, but the truth was manifest 40 years ago by our elder Shadrach, or the resurrection of the truth, so to speak. And we celebrated our 40th year, but there is something very significant about our 40th year celebration. The original individuals that our elder chose to teach, only one still remain. One out of that original flock. And so last weekend, it was a pleasure for me and some of my brethren to share in the truth. And I say the truth for this reason. 40 years our elder been doing this. 40 years, one individual has followed our elder. Henceforth, you don't follow someone if they're leading you astray. You follow them because you think they're good. So the truth lies with our elder, and our elder Anthony Castelli has followed him for 40 years. And in doing so, today, he's the oldest member of the House of Israel congregation. I'm sorry he's not here right now, because as they say, when you're alive, you should get your flowers. So I'm giving him his flowers because the stories that I've heard that took place during those trying times, you have to have strength and belief. Believe in what was being said and walk in that path of truth. And so that's a strong, strong individual, very strong. And to even go up against people of his kind, people that he grew up with and know, to defend the truth, to defend our elder, that is stupendous. That is fantastic. Anyway, so let's get back to the business at hand. Thank you, Anthony Castelli, Elder Anthony Castelli, for your dedication. You know, current days, let's just think about this. Fake news spreads faster than facts. And that's a fact. You have TikTok, you have WhatsApp, you have all the different media houses too that will give you gossip spreads quicker than the gospel. And political promises are often more popular than political realities. I'm going to say that one more time. Gospel and political promises are often more popular than political realities. No, let me break that down a little bit for you to understand what I'm saying. So recently, this guy got shot. Yeah, this young man here, a very prominent person in the United States, political arena. Yeah, he was a staunch supporter of Donald Trump. However, this individual narratives were never yet in accordance with being upright or in accordance with peace, love, unity. It was a radical narrative that he spread as his wit and in serving the president, because he's like that too. Anything comes out of his mouth is what's said, and then later on it is ignored, or it's a lie, or it wasn't said. So, the point I was getting at is simple this. He spewed so much venom of hate and disgust that they have a saying, the chicken come to roost. Yeah, so what he spewed is what he got. And it's sad because it's a life taking. He has kids and they don't grow up without a father, but the life you choose, your life you live. And you do bad, bad catch up with you. But it just goes to show you what I'm referring to in terms of politics. Not everything that comes out of a politician's mouth is of any good to you or I. It is what it is. So the same pattern goes back to the Garden of Eden. The serpent lie, sounding better than God's truth, and mankind has been falling for this lie ever since. Yeah, anyone inside here can tell a story. And it can be believable depending on how you seasoned it. Or I say season it is the words and choice of words and the narratives that you use. One can gravitate towards it and can say, yes, 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 amen. Yes, my brother.
It's quite interesting when you say this, is that the lie that was told in the garden by Lucifer to Eve is a reflection of what he wanted himself. Because he wanted to be like God. But he told them, your eyes are going to be open You will not die, but you'll be like gods. He himself aspired to be God, to be not even God, but higher than him, the most high God, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and Jacob. So hence you're saying, we're lying, but we're telling the truth. We're lying, but we're telling the truth. It's always a half truth. It's never the full truth. And the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is always the God that tells truth. That they'll never change, and that is truth. Facts change, but truth does not change. And that's the thing that we have to understand. A lot of preachers, a lot of philosophies come out there and tell you things, but they never tell you the actual truth. It's only one verse, one lesson, one verse that they use, one line, and they spend 6 hours to 5 hours, whatever they may be, just to say that. But there's no truth really in it. Because there's only one nation, there's only one people that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob honor, and that's Israel,
That's right.
because he has to keep his covenant.
That's right.
Well done.
Thank you again, Brother Lewis. My brethren, well done. And you said it quite clearly. And we can reiterate on it some more or expound on it some more. Lucifer always wanted glory. Lucifer always wanted power. He wanted to be el numero uno. And in order for you to be el numero uno, how are you going to do that? All right. You need support. Everybody that is in power, the way they got there, the lies that they tell, the reason behind it, always come right back down to the masses. So if you can get this support of the mass by turning them against the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, that's one step into that position. And that's what he's trying, all right? So he tried that. It worked for a minute. It sure did, because she fell victim, and she did what she shouldn't have done. And in future years, even Israel fell victim to by serving other gods and falling into other culture that is not Israel. So the lie lives on. Even today, the lie still lives on. And when you realize this is a lie and you walk away from the lie, you're in truth. You're in the house of Israel. However, you're still not Teflon. You're still not protected. You need that armor to protect you so that you can march forward into the promised land. Because he will never give up. He will not give up. He will be pursuing you as he had pursued our forefathers when Moses took them across that Red Sea. And he said, no, let's go get them. Jump on his chariot and his army, and he pursue, but didn't know that we had a plan for him. Today, it still exists. So we need to armor ourselves so that we can fight against this spirituality that is not of our spirit. Thank you. Let me continue some more. All right. So today, lies seems to travel faster, as I said, than truth. And why is that? It's in the media, it's in politics, it's in advertisement, even personal relationship. Last night when I was getting the able assistance of my secretary/wife in doing this. Yes, a secretary, she's very good. She's super good. So when we were doing this, I remember when I was in college in West Virginia, the only reggae music was me bringing up a cassette, or, cassette was then. And then CD came in just about the same time. And so I had to listen to all kind of North American music, country and West, You know, and country music, and you know, all of that I had to listen to. But there was this one song by Fleetwood Mac. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, tell me lies. So, in relationship, the lie is just as important because you want your spouse to tell you all kind of things that sometimes isn't true, but is pleasing. Can anyone relate? Can I get a? No, yeah, it is true. You know, sometimes you're not in the mood. You don't want to even talk. You just want to just do you for 2 seconds. Honey, do you love me? Of course I do. I love you world without end. At that particular moment, you just don't want to talk. But for a peaceful life, you just move on, you know? But that's how it is in life. We are human and we are at fault because we are human. We're not perfect. Henceforth, we will do and say things that are not truthful. But at the end of the day, they are lies. There's no minute lie and there is no bigger lie. A lie is a lie. Thank you very much. You're all with me. I'm happy when I'm standing at this podium and my brethren are all in one accord. That's right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to define, or should I say, the Bible define lies. It's considered distortion, deception, and denial of God's truth. That's what this, our book says. And, and for those of you in the audience, in Cyberland, why you got that exceptional applause from brethren right here is because the last time my Bible wasn't according to their color. And I don't know why, because is what's written in the Bible is not the color of the Bible. However, these are my friends and my brethren, and I love them because the truth will set you free. And in being truthful, they told me exactly how they feel. And with that, you can appreciate. Thank you all. I will never bring that Bible back here. Oh my God. Oh, someone asked what color was the Bible. So you're saying, no, you didn't bring the Bible, but you bring the pen. It was my first day on the podium, so it is very significant. So I'm going to have this with me all the time when I'm here, in remembrance of the loving reception I got from my brethren. Okay, so I'm going to break down these 3 words: distortion, deception, and denial of God's truth. And at the end of it, you're going to get a big laugh also. I didn't mean to do that, but after doing it, okay, so distortion, the act of twisting or altering something out of its true and natural original state. One more time, and I'm going to read every one of them twice so that you can be clear on what I'm saying. Distortion, the act of twisting or altering something out of its true, natural, or original state. Henceforth, it was like this, and then something was done or said to change what it was originally. Distortion. Deception, the act of causing someone to accept as true or valid what is false. Deception, the act of causing someone to accept as true or valid what is false. Henceforth, I'm going to make it very, very easy. Very easy for you to just explain that. I am an angel. Doesn't matter. I'm not an angel. I'm not an angel. That's deception. It's false. Okay. Denial. Refusal. I know this is the worst of all. Refusal to admit truth or reality of something. Denial. Refusal to admit the truth or reality of something. All of you right here are my brethren. All of you right here serve the same God that I serve, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. That is reality. That is the truth. There's no two-way or if or but about that. No, I didn't create these words. It's biblical, these words. This distortion, deception, and denial. But I can think of one person that all three Ds is a characteristic of. One person. Names begin with a D. Can anyone tell me who that is? The devil, yes. And he could be perceived as the devil right now in Egypt. And that is Donald Trump. And I'm not holding no punch. I'm sorry. Elder, I was banned from the border. Anyway, I won't venture into that anymore. I'll leave that where it is. Hey, it's just a fact. You know, I had a lot last time. Me and my nephew was having the first podium, and he spewed the truth out. Sometimes the truth will set you free. As a matter of fact, it will set you free, because right now within me, I don't feel. Matter of fact, on the day of my baptism, I felt almost like invincible. Honestly, the day after I baptized my brother, hi, nice to see you, and the young one and the missus. It's a pleasure. The day that I got baptized, you know what I said? I can die now. But I didn't know that Israel was so nice that I said, no, I need more of this. No, honestly, that's what I said. Because I've seen, and I'm not trying to sound like Martin Luther King, but I've seen the glory of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob after I came out of that water. I did not care about living anymore because I held on to that rod. I have kids, I have siblings, I have parents, and nothing, not one of them mattered at that moment. If the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said, Andrew, now you're going, I'll be like, take me. I'm ready. That was the feeling I got. So if I offended anyone in cyberland or anyone here or whomever who's listening to this, I'm not sorry. Do not cringe, my dear. Fear not the man that can kill the flesh. You know, someone said secret right there. And you know, when I was speaking on Elder Castelli moment, historical moment, because it's historical. I wish you two was here. Man, let me tell you, I love my brethren. I wish everyone that's here that wasn't there last week was here so you could understand what I'm saying. Okay? The experience was so overwhelming. But Ella said, tell no one. Tell no one. I know. Tell no one. But you should have been here so you could have experienced that experience. Well, let me continue with this lesson because sometimes I tend to drift a little bit away from the subject matter. And I want to stay on track because my time up here is very limited. I will have to pass the baton off to the professor in a minute. So the lies that spoken, the lies, they appeal to the flesh. That's what lies does. Lies appeal to the flesh. And what happens when it appeals to the flesh is we go off and do what we're not supposed to do and say what we're not supposed to say. So the lies appeal to the desire of the flesh. People often choose lies over truth because it sounds better than the truth. You know, it has a nice little ring to it. It's a feel-good thing. It makes you... I was listening to a song by my elder Avery. Soul music. I don't remember the song, the exact title. The rhythm of soul music. Yeah. The rhythm of soul music, what it does to you. Yeah, but that is truth though. The rhythm. Because all of it is true. No, lies have the same kind of effect. If you're not spiritually grounded or in an environment like this, which you know and you can tell, and you can say this is a lie and this is a truth. But if you're not of that faith, that spirit, then every lie thrown at you, you're going to be gullible. It's like a sponge. You're going to be sponging that up. That's going to come inside you and then become a part of you. And then you are now the source of more lies. So, 2 Timothy 4, 3-4. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. So, any Mr. Man, any Tom, Dick, and Harry, and his brother Larry can tell you anything. You get what I mean? Can you understand me? My sister. Loud and clear? All right. So instead of listening to our master teacher who brought all of this here and make it necessary for us to understand what the truth is about, you rather go to a crayfish doll around the road, around Nessa, who will take your money and then still killing you because you're going to death. You're not getting life. Lies is death. The truth is life. Lies is death. So every Sunday you're going to give him your money, but you're still heading down that path of death. But you will insult, you will spit at, you will hate the truth. Oh, Elder Shadrach. Make no sense. No sense. Must be madness. Must be madness. Lies promise quick happiness, no consequence, and easy success. That's what lie does. Yeah, it do. Yeah. Example in advertising, lies sell the dream of eternal youth. Oh, I'm going to hit this real quick. Eternal youth, instant wealth, or effortless health. All right, now, ladies, we'll start with you first because they seem to target the ladies more than the men. They do. Why they do that? Why? Anybody know why they do that? Thank you very much over there, my brother. The same reason why Lucifer target Eve. There was a little thing come on TV that said, "You are the weakest link." Hey, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. And the truth will set you free. So, Lucy, still here, but you're using the media house. So, there is no Sister Carol inside here for everybody who is present, so I'm not targeting one of my brethren. Sister Carol, you want a young, fresh skin? You can't get it out of the bottle here. This bottle, look, give you smooth skin, make you young and fresh again. You'll feel like 16, look like 16. Just try this serum. Perfect. And they sell it and they bite and they become gullible. I've been an athlete all my life. I did tracks when I was in high school. I played football at all levels, junior, senior, national. I did all of that hard work so that I can perform at my best. There's no other way it can work. I wish there was a pill in the bottle that I just pop and I am super Andrew. It doesn't exist. Oh, excuse me. Could you please step to the mic and explain that for our audience, sir? Hold on. We have someone here to rebut me.
It's not Red Bull, so I know that, Yes, my favorite sister, Elder Sophia, has just given away the secret. And the secret to your lesson is truth. Once you have the truth, that will give you a superpower beyond belief. You see, they say Superman. Don't worry about no Superman. You see, we have people in here called how can I put it? The Dragon Slayer, the Demon Slayer, the Doppy Hunter. Those men like Elder Andor, Elder Freddy, the original swordsmen from back in the day, didn't need that. All they had was the truth. And every single demon, anything that came in their path, flee. So that's all you need is the truth. But you see, you have to understand something. You have to know where the truth come from. And the person that can give the truth, because you see, with every doctor or with every pill, there's a doctor. And in our situation, our doctor is our Elder Shadrach, because you see, he got them manufactured from someone far greater, more powerful than him. So therefore, you have to have Elder Shadrach to give you the truth, which is the magic pill that Elder Andor swallowed, Elder Freddy swallowed, me, we all swallowed that. And so that's why we can cure anything that comes in our path and achieve anything even greater than flying. That's the pill.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh. Hello, say it, please say it.
And just for reference, AKA, on behalf of Elder Shadow, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Well done, my brother. Well done. So he endorsed what I say. You can find those pill in bottle. There's no such pill in that bottle. But you can find that pill right here, Israelite. What? The house of Israel, please. The house of Israel is where you can get that pill. Eternal. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that, Elder Tyrone. Wonderful. Okay, let me continue. Wow, this is so great right here. Okay, so lies, what they do, they tell us what we want to hear or what we need to hear, because it's a pacifier. Yeah, it pacifies. And a lot of us, not us inside here, us on the outside or them on the outside need to be pacified. So the lie is the easiest way of pacifying them, not the truth, because the truth is a very hard pill to swallow. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It's like, okay, so I'll give you a quick example. My son's grandmother said to him, you need to go to school so that you can get an education to be successful. My son turned to his grandmother and said, no, Grandma, I don't need an education to be rich. He said, I look on the phone and I see a lot of people out there don't even have a primary education and they're making millions of dollars. Oh, that was that was hard for her to understand, because she's like, how do I explain this to your son? I said, I'll take care of it. Don't worry, sir. So I said, Grandma, he's right, though. You really don't need an high school education, not even a college education, to be rich nowadays, because I got influencers or guys on TikTok back in Jamaica driving BMW. And I had to work hard to drive my first BMW. And they just like drive them without oil in them and engine get, and they just throw it on the side and go get another one. I had to work hard and I had to service. My wife can tell you, my car outside there, sometimes she's like, oh, you put too much in this. I said, if it's not service, it cannot function. Because I know the consequence. These guys, they don't care about that. They just drive until it's dead. So I said to my son, Andrew, your grandma is right. However, you are also correct. But what she needs to say to you is this. She wants you to have an education so that you can be a rounded, productive citizen of this world. Not necessarily about getting a job, because you could be a farmer. You could be a farmer and daddy will be proud of you just the same. But he's right and she's right. But just the way it was said. So I had to clarify that for him. All right? Then that little boy went and take him exam, and him is a top student in the island. I tried to get him to play football. He never played football. He was in the book. Then now he's playing, now he's a judo expert. First time in a tournament, finished third. Yes, yes. I know he wants to play football, and when he speaks to me about football, I have to be standing and looking, or sitting and looking, and like, what is this boy talking about? That is the trajectory of that ball, when you have to curve it with the right side of that instep so that it can give you that bend that goes up. And this boy don't like school. So I tell his mom, send him when he feel like going. If he feels like going today, send him. If not, then... Anyway, I'm off track again, but just... Sometimes these things happen. It's Israel. We're not perfect inside here. That's why it took us so much years in that wilderness. 40 years. Oh boy. We'll keep repeating the same thing over and over until we get another 400 years. And now we're out of it, so we're not going back in slavery. Never. Right. My Jamaican and Caribbean folks inside here or something else. Spiritual lies provides haven without holiness, salvation without repentance, and blessing without obedience. I'm going to ask my elder over there, Elder Andrew. This sounds like a free ride. They don't have to do no work. You can just come every day and show up, and then you go to your yard or your house, or you go home and you're okay. Inside here, we have to work, physically and spiritually. But with their lives, you don't have to do nothing, because you're going to die and go to heaven in Jesus' name. Oh, it's true. It's true. You can get up tomorrow morning and go to that shrine over there, and before you even go into that shrine, you can be by the bar, because there's always a bar close to a shrine. I know that for a fact. There is always a bar close to it. And you can go into that bar and you can beat a couple guineas. For my Caribbean folks who know what I'm talking about. Have a couple of points, as the English blokes would say. Have a couple of points. And then you can go into that shrine and you'll be okay. Because the spirit there is perfect for the spirit. Because they have like spirit. Not our spirit. Because we do not mix. There's separation. Thank you very much. I said earlier, the lies feels easier than the truth. Because there's no work in telling a lie, but there's work in telling the truth. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, each and every one of us inside here ask a lot of questions. Why? And we were given answer. This is the answer. Henceforth, we are not being led like some blind mice. We're not blind inside here. So you can't tell us no lies. The truth is what leading us inside here. So if you want to be blind no more, come to the house of Israel. Where we will remove every blindness. As my sister say, cataracts and glaucoma will be gone. I love you all, man. I say I love you. I really do love you all. Lies are light. Lies are light. Truth is heavy. Yeah, truth is really, really, really heavy. Because you know why? 66 books. And I can tell you something. I am learning to read these 66 books. And it's not easy. It is not. It is not. You have to put in work. You have to put in time. Lies, you don't put in nothing. You just get up today and be who you want to be. And say who you want to. Yeah, that's lies. Lies don't require none of that. No, no. Jeremiah 6:14. Peace, peace when there is no peace. Lies. Oh, it's peace time now. It's peace time now. Everything is all right. Yes, I will not go there. I will not go there. Thank you. I saw that look. It's peace time now, though, but it's not peace. It's not peace. We're not going to sit down and sing no lullaby and think that everything is good. The world is in turmoil, straight problem. Everywhere you turn, there is problem. So it's not peace time. The lies serve the powerful. Oh yeah. Okay. Political power of the lie. And I did say some things about that, and I'm just trying to stay politically correct. So I will kind of not go further into that, but from ancient empires to modern democracies, lies are used to manipulate and control. That's always been like that. And it's not going to change today or anytime soon. Propaganda and misinformation. It's on a grand scale, right about now. Yeah, political lies designed to sway the opinions, demonize opponents, consolidate power. The narratives are appealing. It's always appealing to people because of fear and prejudice. So it will appeal. So one can always say, oh, it's best that you put this man in power because this man here can protect you. This man can't protect you from nothing but because of fear. 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 Okay, we need help. Oh, this one here is that. So the lies will go to and from one side to the next side. And then one will benefit. And then that one, that lie that he told you that was supposed to have been to your benefit will never, ever, ever come to fruition because it's a lie. And from personal experience, I can tell you that. I've experienced that personally. And I will try to tell you without even calling names. But I will just give you a brief synopsis of what happened to me. Back home, we have two political parties. And elder, yes, I was in politics for one day, elder. One day. Well, elder might say it doesn't count. But one day. And I tell you my feeling about politicians. I don't like them because they're deceptive and they're liars. So I never liked them. However, a friend of mine, a very high-standing person, said, this guy is a good guy. Yeah, this guy is a good guy. We can work with him. Went to this high school, the whole stories and everything, and I bought into it. And then his platform was education. Oh, man. Education? Andrew is on board. So the morning of the election, Andrew car was gassed up by the politician, of course. My tank filled. And what Andrew was supposed to do is go to all the people who are not able to come to the polling station. And Elder Freddie, let me tell you something. Andrew drive down the whole of the community and even exceed himself into other community to get people to vote. I drive. I went to from. I was like this. Getting people to come and vote. They voted. And he won. And to this day, I can give you his number, you can call him and say, tell me about Andrew. He said, oh, this is what he would say to you. Because of Andrew, that man got the seat. Because of me. Okay, so here comes the time now where you're going to repay me. I didn't ask for no money, but you said your platform is education. So, without giving away names either, this young lady just finished high school, brilliant child. Went to one of the top high school back home, so some of you might know, Immaculate High School. She finished, top student, started university. So she started university, her mom couldn't afford to carry on. No, this man said education is his platform. So I went to the man and I said, look, and I did not went to him with lip service because I don't do that. If I'm saying something to you, I'm going to bring documents. I said, I brought her document and I showed him, look, certificate, honor, all of this, and showed him. Not him directly, because I couldn't get to him. Anymore. So I gave it to his right-hand man or his second, and I said, look, the man said this is his platform, so this girl here need an education, and she has started, but she can't afford it no more. Days pass, weeks pass, months pass. So then I said to them, so what's the story behind all of this? Politician for you. Promises, lies, nothing of truth. And this girl here now, who had ambition of becoming someone important, just like my elder Andel and elder Sophie daughter, my niece, who is off into England to become a lawyer. Thank the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for that blessing. She had to resort to culinary arts. No, I don't have a problem with that because I like cooking and a lot of people inside here cook. So but that was not her ambition. So you denied and you broke a spirit based on your lies. So I'm not going to use this word inside here because no. I detest politicians. I use that word because they aren't truthful. They aren't truthful. So that's where I'm at with those. Okay. So my audience, I'm going to ask you one question. Why do you think people prefer leaders who tell them smooth things instead of hard truth? Can anyone can give me an answer? Please, real quick.
It's easier to digest.
Go ahead, Rayshon.
Easier to digest soft food than hard food, you know? So it'll hurt their heart if they chew on something too hard. But if they chew on something soft, smooth. It's like drinking alcohol and drinking water. It's easy.
Wow. Wow. Nice. Thank you very much. That was very, very, very good. As usual, I mess up because I spend too much time telling stories, and my lesson is not even halfway through, and I can't do that to my elder. His time is up next. My brethren, it's always a pleasure to be here. So let's get to the conclusion real quick. Lies may be popular, but but truth is eternal. Our calling is to love truth, live truth, and speak truth even when lies are louder. My appeal to you all now is lies may win temporary applause, but only the truth saves. Choose the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the truth over the lies of the world. Proverbs 12:19. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but the lying tongue is but for a moment. Lies are popular, but truth is eternal.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here, both in person and online. Let me continue what our elder Andrew has started. Of course, we're looking at the truth behind the lie to expose the lie for what it really is. I'm going to begin with one of my favorite scriptures in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 43. If you want to turn there and read along with me. It says, "But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel." So he's talking about our family. "Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindled upon thee." Of course, we know these things to be true. We've had examples with the days of Moses at the Red Sea. We've had examples with, what's his name, Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar. But anyway, verse 3, "For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee." These are three of the most powerful nations back in the day, and the effect that they're having today on the lie is even more powerful. But they are the ransom for our freedom. Think of that. 4, "Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee." These are the words from the Creator of heaven and earth to us, our Israelite foreparents. Let me read it again. "Since thou wert precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee, and people for thy life. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east, and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, Give up, and to the south, Keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth, even every one that is called by my name. For I have created him for my glory. I have formed him. Yea, I have made him." We are the only ones on the planet that knows the name of our God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Verse 8, "Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this, and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified, or let them hear and say it is truth." So they have an opportunity to make their case, and we will have an opportunity to make our case. The lie versus the truth. Okay? This is what it's all about. Ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither was there any after me. So we're talking about or pertaining to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and his Israelite royal family. This is what this conversation is about. Okay? Verse 11, I, even I, am the Lord, and besides me there is no Savior. I have declared and have saved, and I have shown when there was no strange God, remember that, among you. Therefore ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord. Amen and amen. This sets the tone then for us to reveal the truth and expose the lie. This is what it's all about. We are not here to criticize. We're here to educate. It is not a situation where we are going to be calling people names or anything like that. We are just revealing the truth. By the way, the inspiration for this presentation came from the teaching of our Elder Shadrach and the video that Elder Andel presented. The video, you can find it on our YouTube channel. It has to do with the interview about the Pope. In other words, what the Vatican, I think it says church, but I don't use that word like that. We are the church, and there's only one. What the Vatican did to the Jacobites, the children of slavery. So go online, the YouTube video on our channel, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. It's an excellent video. The key point to that video is that everything that man, the Pope, said can be presented. Evidence can be presented to substantiate everything that he said from a historical, from a cultural, from a spiritual perspective. And by the way, that's what I'm going to do today. Not everything, obviously, because that would take forever, but some of the key points so that you can formulate for yourself whether what we are telling you is based on the truth or is it based on the lie. You determine that. It is almost like it's a court trial. We happen to be the witnesses and this court case, right? And of course you have the adversary. And then you have the children, the chosen remnant, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But guess what? The judge is the Almighty Spirit of all spirit, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And it just so happened, or maybe I shouldn't say it like that, we are his children. So you as a parent or a brother or a sister, how are you going to go against your own siblings or your own children, especially knowing that the adversary is wrong, that the adversary is guilty? And I'm not trying to preempt the judgment here. I'm trying to give you something to think about so that you can build a case. And by the way, this is a case that is ongoing. It is not something that happened in the Garden of Eden only. That's when it began. But the God of Israel, I want you to, when we go through the whole process, to see the wisdom of the God of Israel, how it unfolds as we go forward in life today. Or maybe we went backwards, I don't know. But the point is, we are in a situation today where we have to deal with the lie more so than the truth. As a matter of fact, the truth is only revealed here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. You're not going to get it anywhere else on this planet. And if there is, then I would like to know about it, please. Because we are the only ones who are authorized to teach from the Holy Scriptures. And you can read that in Matthew 28, 16 to 20. So the key here is that people are attracted to the lie without knowing the consequences thereof. You are attracted because it is pleasing to your ears or to your eyesight, but you don't know what are the consequences. And the most important consequence is what? Is the judgment. All of us will have to be judged sometime. One day we will be judged. So, and we can only be judged based on our actions. right? The activity that we developed over the years that we lived in this body. So we want to be sure that what we do conforms to the standards of truth and righteousness. That's why we are here as Israelites. This is our mandate, to teach all those who seek the truth. Now, again, like I said, we know that there's going to be challenges. But remember, there are only two choices: the truth from the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, or the lie from Satan. And you have a choice. We all have a choice to make. That's the key that we have to remember. If we could get that together as our preliminary information, you will see that it will help us in the future as we continue to progress throughout this world. So we live in a world then that is controlled or influenced highly by demons. I like to call them the fallen hellboys because that is my expression to represent them. And they dominate the lies with vanity, with ignorance, and with violence. Because wherever there's war, there's a spiritual underpinning that most people don't look at, because they're either trying to hit back at the other guy or defend themselves. But every battle has a spiritual undercurrent that is raging. And what they're doing physically is exactly what is transpiring spiritually. But most people don't think about that. They pull out the gun and start shooting, right? One of the things that I've learned over the years is the idea of the satanic darkness that we see is based on spiritual deception. Spiritual deception that leads to what I call intoxication. In other words, spiritual sickness. And that is part and parcel of what I like to say is an inferiority complex. If you are confident in what you're doing, you don't have to prey on other people that you may consider them weaker than you. You know, the little children, in the Vatican, like, why you don't leave those children alone? You are the high priest of Christianity. Why are you praying on little boys or little girls or whatever? I don't know what they do anymore. But the point that I find very interesting, not one of those priests were hanged. Not one of them were shot. Not one of them spent a day in jail. You run over a dog accidentally, you're going to jail for 40 years. But yet you molest the little children, and what happened? You get to live to do it again. Not if I was the king or the prime minister or the president. I will hang you, but you know what? Anyway, maybe there's a good reason for me to be here and not there. I don't know. The issue, though, is that all of these things, and this is the only way that I know how to describe it, the individual, despite his power, right? His power is an illusion. That's how I see it. But that individual ends up fighting against his own shadow. Now, is that stupid or what? Because it's not really. Why are these people fighting against each other when they're all living and sleeping in the same bed? It makes absolutely no sense. But this is something not to criticize. It is there for you to think about it and try to understand what's going on in the world today and see why we are not part of it. Our Israelite nation, our royal family, we wrote the book or the manual of life. This is what is now known as the Holy Bible. Therefore, we alone are qualified to teach concerning the truth, concerning what is in this book. We are not here, as I said before, to criticize anyone. We're just here to teach all those who have the courage to seek the truth. This is what it's all about. But let it be clear, in this book, the Holy Bible, there is no Christian, not one. There is no Christianity. It's not mentioned. There is no Judaism, no Khazars, no Muslims, no Islam, no Freemasonry. So then may I ask you a question. Why are they so preoccupied with our book? Why don't they, and this is a rhetorical question, why don't they write their own book about their own family and leave our book alone? I'd be first in line at the bookstore to buy a copy, as long as I can afford it. Write your own book about your own family. Leave our book and our family alone. It is that simple. But of course, as you know, they cannot take the truth. They cannot handle the truth. Remember that video? You can't handle the truth, right? Even though he was lying. But anyway, that's a whole different story. So the lie plays a very powerful role today in the lives of humanity. As a matter of fact, if you check the statistics, you would find that 99.9% of humanity they succumb to the lie because they cannot appreciate the truth. And that makes you wonder why. These are not people, and I don't know if I could say our level, because I look at us as the creme de la creme, the top of the whole. But before Israel, before we met our elder Shadrach, we were at the bottom of the shoe. They were walking on us. Why is it that they cannot, given their capacity back then, this is 400 years ago, why didn't they then take control of what is written in this book and teach it properly? Is it because they are overwhelmed with the lie or the spirit of the lie and they cannot have an appreciation and understanding of the truth? Because you cannot receive it, you can't share it. It is as simple as that. So either way, I invite them to write their own book and leave ours alone. Write about their family, leave our family alone. So after this, remember the days of what I like to say, the confusion at Babylon. Remember what happened, the Tower of Babel? First of all, the God of Israel came down to see what was going on. He saw in the minds of men that they were not doing what was ideal or even close to that. And he said, no, we can't deal with this. So he confused the language. And then the people were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Am I right, Jeremiah? Jeremiah is just a year old. He said yes. He's excited. You see, he remembered. And I think we talked about that this morning. The elder talked about it. When you have a spirit that was from ancient times that can be received or receptive to a newborn. And Jeremiah is already, can hardly talk, but he said yes, yes, twice when I said what I said earlier. Now he's getting all excited. His dad is trying to take care of him. Love it when innocence is proven and amongst us that we are telling the truth here, because he can't talk, but he can say yes. And that's all that matters to me right now. So after the great confusion and dispersal from Babylon, the fallen hell boys, they called themselves, I think these were Etruscans from Babylon. They established their headquarters at the Vatican. And this is why, like I said, the whole idea pertaining to lies is fascinating for me personally, because I was inspired by the video that Elder Andel presented on our YouTube channel. The headquarters were set up in the Vatican, at the Vatican, I should say, about the year 510 BCE. And again, check this out for yourself. They built a temple. I'm just going to give you a good example here of how this whole thing got started in the modern time. They built a temple on a hill called, the temple was called the Capitol. The hill was called Vaticanus, if I pronounce it correctly. And hence, today we have Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., right? However, at the Capitol, the Romans used to worship Jupiter. Jupiter is just another name for Satan. And then later on, they introduced Janus, which is another demon that they put in that temple, that they worshiped him. Janus, for those of you who don't know, was a demon with two heads, an older head looking back and a younger head looking forward. And from Janus, we got January. I'm just trying to show you how the lie prevails today and how it is presented in such an acceptable format that most people would not even think that is anything wrong with January. You know, they don't understand how and I like, to be honest with you, Personally, I like what they do because it shows diligence. It shows discipline. It shows that they adhere to the instructions that were given to their God. If we could do 10% of what they do, we'd be the most powerful nation on the face of the earth. Just 10%. The discipline, the obedience that they have. They named the first Christian month after their God, Janus, the God with two heads. One looking back, an older guy, and one looking forward, a younger guy. Think about it. And it all came from Babylon by way of the Etruscans to the Vatican. The Etruscans did great things. But what they did not understand is that all of this was prepared by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. So this Babylonian idolatry and divination, as I like to call it, was formed then or allowed for immaculate deception, which contaminated the entire earth, for that matter. All humanity suffered from that same deception because they don't tell you exactly what they're doing. They put it in the form of, I call it an allegory. You know, Jesus spoke in parables, but parables were based on truth. Allegories may be based on truth, a few of them, but 99% of them are based on a lie. Check it out for yourself. Because they can't tell you the truth pertaining to what they want you to do, because you will not do it, obviously. So the process then is secretly hidden under the term Chrislam. You've heard me talk about this before. Chrislam is Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Freemasonry. Why? It is used repeatedly because one of the points that you have to look for when a lie is being told, it is repeated over and over and over. Look at it. Look at the television situation. They have one channel. They all have breaking news. I don't know what the hell is brain broken. Notice I said hell. Because there's nothing breaking, right? But they put it forward in that respect so that you would be attracted to it. It's a lie. And every channel has it. Why? Because they all subscribe to the same Reuters news agency, who are controlled by the Vatican or their dependents. So they tried to create what they call a one-world religion. I call it a one-world philosophy, right? That's what Chrislam is all about. And they are, in the process, creating even more confusion amongst humanity. Why? By spilling even more lies. And it works. It works very well because through the resulting confusion, then they're able to exploit humanity. They place man against man, man against woman. What else do they place? They place the Gentile Europeans against the Jacobites. In other words, you call it black against white, whatever. And even the Jacobites against the Jacobites, black against black. Who are shooting each other today? And who are shooting you because they think you have money when you don't have anything? Or they like the way you look. And if you don't, you know, maybe you're doing something that they want to do, but they can't do. So they attack you for that. This is how it is because it is not a physical situation. It's highly spiritual. And at the center of the attack would be the Jacobites, the children of slavery. Because if they can't get to our Father, they're going to get to us. You see what I'm saying? That's how it is. And if your child gets hurt, you're going to grieve for years. So can you imagine how the God of Israel feels sometimes when we suffer? You see what I'm saying? So this is why we have to create a magnificent defense process against evil. But I just want you to see how this entire process works. Again, I'm going to come back to the Babylonian situation, but I want you to understand that there is a process of selfishness. There is a process of greed, violence, ignorance, and it's all supported by lies. All of it. But you don't know because you feel good about yourself while you're doing these things. You know, it's only when things get out of hand then you realize your mistake. But by then, it's obviously too late, right? And the process of our selfishness or greed or ignorance or violence guess what? The Vatican is making substantial monetary gain and enhancing its power over the entire world. And in the process, they enslave the mind of humanity. So, what I'm trying to tell you here today is that when it comes to the lie, it's all about slavery. It's all about your enslavement. And this is not a black-white situation. This is about all humanity being puppets, pawns in the game. But because they can make $1 million or 10, they don't think that they're puppets in the game. So we're asking you here from this Israelite nation to please examine the circumstances of your wealth to see how you got it. 99% of the time, you will see that you stole it. 99%. You might not think that because, oh, well, there's 500% tariffs now, so you're getting, like, where did that come from? You see what I'm saying? When we were picking cotton and tobacco and all of the things that we did, why did they not put aside that money? Listen, a salary could be up to 60% of your profit margin. So if you did not have to pay salaries for 400 years, how come you are not rich and powerful? Why are you increasing the tariffs by 500%? Greed or ignorance, selfishness, or maybe you are that guy. You see what I'm saying? Because that guy is manipulating. They're pawns in the game. You play chess? Our foreparents developed the chess game in Spain back in the year, maybe 800 AD. There was no cross on the top of is it the king or the queen that carries the cross on top of it? The king. How did the cross get on top of the king's head? That's a rhetorical question. You could see someone else taking over that chess game. Why are they not sending us the royalty on a monthly basis or annual, whichever? Because they're using our game to promote their own religious ideas. You see what I'm saying? Why did they not put a 7-branch candlestick over the king's head? Why did they put a cross? Death, destruction, enslavement. This is what I want you to think about. And a simple little game where you can sit down with your little teenager or maybe younger and have a little fun and drink some lemonade, they're corrupted. But you don't know that you're being corrupt because maybe your dad or your mom is letting you in, right? But now, how do you explain that cross? These are simple things, but they have very, very profound meanings. And this is what the Vatican is all about. I'll tell you more. Not only then did the confused dispersal from the Tower of Babel landed at the Vatican in the year 510 BCE, and the Vatican has used it since. I will tell you this, and I want you to check it out for your own. As we have seen in the video online with the Pope's interview, the Pope then has become the chief wizard. The chief, and if you don't believe me, watch Harry Potter, and you will see what I'm talking about. It's a secret attempt to restore the Tower of Babel. Because the Tower of Babel was not just a tall building that reached up to heaven. It was the foundation of idolatry and divination, the headquarters of idolatry and divination. Because from that came all the lies throughout the rest of the world. Because it went from there, as I said, to Europe, to Egypt, to India, to Africa, to Asia, wherever there's a lie. It all started in Babylon. And I don't have the time to go out and lay it all out, but if, maybe one day we get into some of it. But this is what happened. The headquarters of idolatry and divination has moved now from Babel to the Vatican. Let me tell you, there's more. Since 1985, the European Union has adopted the image of the Tower of Babel, officially adopted it as their logo or whatever they have. And I forgot the expression that they say, you know, I think they say out of one language, many or something like that. I forgot to look it up. You will see. They reverse the process, almost like they're making fun of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now you can see how stupid that is. So the entire process shifted. But they did not know that Daniel talked about this years ago, when there was an image of a man with, a head of gold and breasts of silver and body of brass and feet of clay and iron. You don't have to hit him on the head; just hit him on the toe, and he fall apart. You see, but they don't see that wisdom. But I want to read Jeremiah 5, because therein is an expression of the beginning of what we are experiencing today. I will just read, sorry, did I say 5? I meant 51. I knew there was a 5 in there somewhere, but I just didn't. Jeremiah 51, and I read verse 7. It says, listen very carefully, make a note of it. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. So they're not just drunk, they're crazy too. Yes. Can you imagine? How does that work? Go ahead.
Very easy, Elder Michael, because the slogan for the European Union is united in diversity, to what you're saying.
There you go.
So everybody drinks of the nastiness and they all diversify together.
There you go. Thank you. And if you continue with verse 17, go from 17 to 19, still in Jeremiah 51, it says, every man is brutish by his knowledge. Brutus by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. In other words, no life. It all pertains to death. They are vanity, the work of arrows. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them. Listen up. See the contrast now. We talked about, and again, let's make sure we get that. Notice the words, the expressions here. Let's go back from verse 7. Made all the earth drunken, so they had too much to drink. Nations are drunken of her wine, and the nations are mad. So you're drunk, you're mad. Now you're brutish in your knowledge. You're confounded by your graven images. And the one on the top graven image is, of course, not only the Babylonian tower, but also the cross and the cube. And I can go on. We'll get to a few more. And then the molten image is falsehood. Notice that there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the works of arrows. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob, now we're talking about us here, not like them. For he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. So we are separate. We are not part of that environment, right? The Lord of hosts is his name. So we are the children of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is where the truth resides. Therein is the evidence that I expressed to the points I made at the beginning, to tell you that they are part of the lie, but we have the truth. And I'll prove even more to show you that we are separate. We are in the world, but not of the world. That makes a very big difference, because the way we think now is completely contrary to the way they think. And the way you think governs the way you behave. That's how it works. But most people cannot see it because they're wrapped up in it, because that is the design process. They get you into it. And we'll give a few examples. I know I got to move quick because we only have about half an hour. Now let's look at the source of the lie. I think Elder Andrew said it earlier. He read in Genesis 3 that this has to do with Lucifer, as we're talking about today. So he's the father of lies. He thrives on robbing the innocent, attempting to erase the purity of the innocent, right? He wants to erase your purity and your freedom. This is why I said at the beginning, the Vatican has to stop molesting the little children. Stop it. Yeah, stop it. Because Lucifer, the father of lies, he thrives on robbing the innocent, attempting to erase their purity and freedom. So if you erase your purity, now you become a slave to the Pope. And you can read that. Let's go to the book of John, and we'll read John chapter 8. We'll read a few verses there just to put it in perspective. John chapter 8, we read from 42 to 47. It says, Jesus said unto them, John chapter 8, let me make sure I got it correct. Yeah. Jesus said unto them, if God were your father, he's talking now to the Pharisees. And they're going back and forth. There's a little bit of an argument here. This is actually the Christ speaking. He says, if God were your father, ye would love me, for I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. In other words, the Christ is saying, listen, I am obedient to my Father. And if you love me, you would know that. You wouldn't be arguing with me. This is his own people. He says in 43, why do ye not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my words? So now therein is the problem of the lie. They cannot understand because they cannot hear. Remember I said at the beginning, they have ears, but they can't hear. You see, Isaiah 43. They have eyes, but they can't see. This is what it's all about. Now, 44 says, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. You see this? When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. This is beautiful, because now we know the source of all the issues that we are witnessing today. This is not something that I'm making up. This is evidence to put forward on the principle of the lie versus the truth. We're exposing who is behind, the hidden concept behind the lie. That's what it's all about. And again, we're not here to criticize people because of what they do for a living. All that we want to do is to tell the truth. And to tell the truth, we have to present the evidence. If you ever go to court, you have to present the evidence in the case. This is what we're doing. And if the evidence falls to the Vatican, what am I going to say? You know what I'm saying? And when I speak of the Vatican, I'm talking about the entire Christian domination, the entire, and the Christians invented Judaism, and between the two of them, they go with Freemasonry, and then they went and impacted Islam. So that's where the concept of Chrislam came into being, because they're supposed to formulate a one world philosophy headed by the Pope. It is just that simple. So let us not lose sight of what we're talking about. And behind all of this activity is the devil. That's what the Christ is saying right here in John 8. Then in verse 45, I'm going to 47. Verse 45, he says, and because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convinceth me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? See, that's how you know that they're being influenced by the devil. 47, he that is of God heareth words, God's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. This pertains to 99.9% of the entire world. They cannot hear. They cannot see. They have nothing to do with the truth. But everything pertaining to the devil, everything pertaining to the lie, they embrace. And they even spend they spend a lot of money and time to embrace the lie, because that's how they make their profit. That's how they gain power. But what I said at the beginning is what they forget. Sooner or later, all of us will have to give an account of what we did in this life. It is called judgment. Judgment. We all will have to come before the Almighty Judge of all judges, who happens to be our Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. This is why we were given the insight into this, the spirit of discernment. So the Christ is speaking to his own Pharisees here, and he's trying to explain to them certain circumstances pertaining to the ways of the world that they too are being influenced by. And he's trying to get them to stop it before it takes control over them. So now let's look at the gift of truth. We've looked at how it came from Babylon to the Vatican, how it emerged into Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Freemasonry, etc. We've seen the source of this lie being Lucifer. Now let's look at the gift of truth. John 14:15-17. I think we've read that so many times, I'll skip it, but just to make reference to it, there it is. Only our Israelite royal family received the truth, and truth comes with freedom, or freedom comes with truth. Either one, they work together in harmony, right? We were called out from the world and sanctified by the Spirit of truth, and given the spirit of discernment. So not only did the God of Israel recognize what was going to happen in Babylon and took the preemptive strike to get rid of them from the tower, he saw what was going to happen in the world, and he took the preemptive strike and said, listen, children, get out. Come home. Get out before it's too late. So he not only just brought us out, he made sure we were sanctified, meaning separated and made holy, because he put the spirit of truth on us. And he also gave us a spirit of discernment. Now we can tell what is truth and what is a lie, and walk accordingly. So as a nation within a nation then, with the temple of flesh and bone, not wood and stone, right? Our process is uniquely spiritual, governed by the everlasting covenant that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob made with us. So thus, on our straight and narrow path at the 12 gates of our Israelite nation, we have them paved, those paths paved with laws of freedom. All the laws, statutes, and commandments, freedom. And freedom is the inspiration or the insight of truth. Okay? You cannot have freedom without truth, and you cannot have truth without freedom. And they work together. So the Christ was very specific when he stated that the world cannot receive the truth. And again, you read that in John 14:15-17. Therefore, anyone outside our Israelite nation cannot be trusted when it comes to spiritual matters. Cannot be trusted, because they are all liars. Let's call them what they are, and are worshipers of Satan. Either way is the same thing, right? The supreme liar, and they worship him as their God. And we could prove this, as we've already, indicated. Hence, the nations have rebelled against the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they formed as I said before, Chrislam, and I call that a satanic confederacy. Yes, a satanic confederacy. I'm calling it for what it is, and I'm going to prove that, because I know that may be a little bit strong for some people, and because it's a satanic confederacy against our Israelite nation. And again, if you want to, take a look at the video with where the Pope is interviewed, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. But Psalms 83 says it all, and you can read most of it I'm going to read from 1 to 8. It says, keep not silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Notice, crafty, so it's secretive, okay? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. How many Jacobites understand the name Israel? How many people on the planet understand that Israel came from Jacob? Jacob was named Israel. He was elevated, just like Abram was elevated to Abraham. Most people don't understand that. But that is the wisdom of our Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So what have they said? Let us cut them off from being a nation. Cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. Therein is a unity. They are confederate against thee. So when I say that this Chrislam, headed by the Vatican, is a satanic confederacy, I'm referring to Psalms 83. A confederacy against our Israelite nation. I'm exposing the lie for what it really is. And I challenge anyone on this planet to prove us wrong. They've consulted together with one consent, for they are confederates against thee. And then it goes on to list them. The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have, all I'm talking about are the children that descended from Babylon. Today, you can call them Christians, you can call them the Khazars, you can call them Muslims, you can call them Freemasons. They're the same. The name doesn't change, it's the character, the characteristics of those individuals that remain the same. Not only that, the mandate is the same. Because they have power, why don't they enjoy themselves? Go on vacation, drink some brandy or whiskey, whatever, party, have a good time, eat good food. Why are you attacking us? You see my point? And not only that, they are trying to attack the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Give me a break. How stupid can you be? You're living in his land that he created. You're benefiting from the fresh air that he created. You're enjoying the water that he made. Excuse me? When are you going to give him thanks and praise? Oh, okay, you might not be able to do that because that's beyond your your ability. But send a payment to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Okay? And I'm not talking $50. I'm talking at least $50 million for the next 400 years. Simple. And trust me, if you do that, when we talk to our dad, we will ensure that you get your blessings. Because you're taking care of his children, you're going to get your blessings. Because that's just the way the God of Israel is. He didn't create the water and the land that we're enjoying and the fresh air and the sun and the moon for nothing. He is reciprocal in his endeavor. I like that about him. So yes. So now that we have shown the gift of the truth, which is only to our Israelite nation, now you see why we're able to discern the lie, even whether it's close at hand or a distance. We can see it no matter where it is. So what is the method used by the liars? And I'm running out of time here. We talked about the religious allegories, Christianity, Islam, Freemasonry, Judaism, etc. I call it a spiritual buffet. You know, you go to a nice restaurant and they have a buffet. You take your plate and you take a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then you come and all of it goes right back into your stomach. It's the same thing. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Freemasonry, they're all the same, right? And, you know, as I said before, you can tell these people by what should we say, their symbols. You can tell here are some of the symbols of the liar. I made a note of it. You have the all-seeing eye. Everybody knows that one. The swastika, there's another one. The cube, the cross, the pentagram, the obelisk, They're all symbols of the lie and the liar, obviously, right? The pyramid is also used, but the pyramid is used in a different capacity, I should say, because it's used in social as a social structure. And it usually has 5 levels to this pyramid, whereby the 1% at the top, right, they own 70% of all the value in the society. That 1%. There's a new game on television now that is reflecting that. They have like 100 people and they end up with like 2 or 3 and they share $1 million between them or something like that. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, that's a whole different matter. And what is it called? I don't think it's that. There's a lot. I'll get it for you next time. But I'll give you an example of their behavior in addition to the symbols. If you have the Christmas celebration, for example, everybody knows about that, right? Why are they celebrating Christmas? They say that Jesus, our Israelite brother, that was his birthday they're celebrating. That's a big stinking hellboy lie. That's a lie, right? And this is a satanic Christian lie that is promoted by the Vatican. The truth is that the Romans they did not collect their taxes in the winter. They collected their taxes in the fall, when the Israelites would have the means to pay. Now, taxes didn't necessarily mean you write a check or you sent your account number or debit card. No. You took the produce that you made. You would give them maybe 3 goats and a sheep and maybe a cow or lamb or whatever. That's how you paid your taxes. Some of the wheat went to them and so on and so forth. And they used that, to do whatever they did. But you can read about some of this in Luke chapter 2, verses 1 to 7. I don't have a lot of time to go into it right now, but I wanted to go into some of the false teachers and to let you see exactly how the lie is used, how it's spread. Colossians chapter 2, verse 8 speaks to the false teachers. It said, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ." So they're warning us not to allow that sickness to contaminate our system, right? And in Matthew chapter 7, verse 30 to 20, I don't have the time to look at it right now, but the Christ also stated that by their fruit they shall be known. In other words, your fruit is your behavior. You can tell a man who he is or what he is by the way he acts, right? I was watching, I like to watch this show, but I saw that when the lady was introducing her family, she said, "Yeah, this is my son, and this guy is his husband." And I hit click and changed the channel because that did not make any sense. It made no sense at all. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, because that is not part of the creation of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? He created the man, and then he created woman for the man. Case closed. Yeah. Anyway, and the Hellboys taught that Jesus and our brothers Jesus and Paul were Christians. That's another lie, because Christian was a very offensive word, and it was used about the year 50 at Antioch. Christian means retard, and a retard at that time was one suffering from a mental and spiritual disorder. As a matter of fact, it was a thyroid disorder. Okay, there you go. They still are, she says. A thyroid deficiency, if your gland produces too much, then you get very tall, 12 feet tall. If it doesn't produce enough, you're like 3 feet tall with a big head. And you ever watch the Harry Potter? There's those little children. What do they call it? I forgot. Anyway, I only got 5 minutes, so I have to run. And so there's a lot there. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, people will talk about the Sabbath day. I know Elder mentioned it today, and they don't have a clue what the heck they're talking about. But there's no way you would know what the seventh day is unless you know when the first day is. And the first day is a new moon. And we as Israelites, qualified Israelites alone, keep the Sabbath day. Right. Yes, I know. But you have to be a qualified, baptized Israelite in order to keep the Sabbath. And on that seventh day, we worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in spirit and in truth. Notice I said in spirit and in truth. And if you don't have the truth, you can't worship him, period. I wanted to go through a few of my, I made some notes here pertaining to the fact that Christianity is the biggest enemy of the Word of God. And I'll read it quickly for you. The Vatican tried to prevent the publication of the Israelite Holy Scriptures. I recognized when I was doing some research that the King James Bible, they suffered a lot. They tried to blow up all the people. Remember the Guy Fawkes Day thing? I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, but look it up and you will see all of that engineered by the Vatican. They tried to conceal the truth and protect the satanic philosophy. For a long time, Europeans were forbidden to read and even possess the Holy Scriptures. This period was called the Dark Ages, from the year 500 to 1500, and for obvious reasons, obviously. The Vatican was afraid that if Europeans owned or read the Holy Scriptures, they might question some of the Pope's behavior or teaching. The Vatican made it quite clear that whatsoever or whosoever possessed the Bible could not be absolved from their sins. Remember, they had the doctrine of indulgences. So if you committed a crime, you can have your sin forgiven by paying money. So the Bible had to be turned onto the bishops then, who would burn it, and then you can have your sins forgiven. So I want to give a few dates here. For instance, in 1229, the Christian Council of Toulouse adopted law number 14, which strictly prohibited the possession of any translation of the books of the Old Testament or the New Testament. In 1233, Pope Gregory the Ninth established the Christian Inquisition, banning the Israelite Bible in the process. In 1234, the Christian Council of Tarragona ruled that no one may possess the books of the Old and New Testament, and if anyone does, he must turn them in over to the local bishop within 8 days so that they may be burnt. Until 1966, listen to this, Roman Catholics were forbidden to read or possess the Bible on pain of excommunication. Translation of the Holy Bible were burnt. Those translations were burnt in bonfires. In 1545, the Christian Council of Trent, which was 1545 to 1563, prohibited the use of the Bible and pronounced a curse upon anyone who dared to oppose the decree. So for 1,500 years or more, from the 5th century to the 19th century, the Vatican had openly burned thousands of the Israelite Bible, along with the people that made the translations, in an attempt to wipe the Bible away or keep them out of the hands of the people. Israelites were mercilessly persecuted, and their scriptures were destroyed. Those who possessed Bible without a license were condemned or commanded to deliver up to the Vatican authorities under the threat of death. Booksellers were forbidden to sell any Bibles except to those who possess a license to the Vatican. I can go on and on and on. Many people were burnt at the stake, some with their Bibles hanging from their necks. The people in the Bible burnt at the stake together. So I can go on, but I don't have time. I'm out of time. But this is the evidence to support the testimony of the lie and to show that they could not handle the truth. And that is why they tried to prevent the Europeans from reading or even possessing the Holy Scriptures of the Israelite. And that is why Christianity was invented, so that now they could use that religious philosophy to promote even a bigger lie. And it is that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much. I can go on for a lot more. I didn't get into the fact of all the other things that they did, like the invention of race by the Vatican Council, law number 68 and 1215. Yes, there is so much that we can discuss here today to show how the lie works, how there is a very powerful entity behind every lie that is taught, and that entity is Lucifer, who is also known by many names today, including Satan, And his chief agent is the Pope, otherwise known as the chief wizard. And with that, I thank you. I say peace.
We love you, God of Israel. Yes, we do. And we love each other. So we pray you will never leave us. Yes, we pray you will not forsake us. And you'll stay. We have all fallen short of thy glory. You are the one and only. We need you, we trust you, we serve you, King of Israel.